Hugh Marlowe, January 30, 1911 – May 2, 1982, was an American film, television, stage and radio actor. Biography. Early life and career. Marlowe was born Hugh Herbert Hipple in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and began his stage career in the 1930s at the Pasadena Playhouse in California. Marlowe was usually a secondary lead, a supporting actor in the films he appeared in. Marlowe debuted in the theater in Pasadena, California, in the 1930s at the Pasadena Playhouse. He was first seen on the stage in New York City in Arrest the Woman, 1936. His Broadway appearances included Kiss the Boys Goodbye, The Land is Bright, Lady in the Dark, Laura, and Duet for Two Hands. In 1939–40, Marlowe was in two network radio programs. He was Jim Curtis in the soap opera Brenda Curtis, and he played the title character in the first radio version of The Adventures of Ellery Queen. Film and television career. Marlowe's first film was Married Before Breakfast, 1937. His films included Meet Me in St. Louis, 1944. For a time he worked regularly for 20th Century Fox, appearing in 12 O'Clock High, 1949, All About Eve, 1950, Night in the City, 1950, The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, Rawhide, 1951, and Howard Hawks' Monkey Business, 1952. His later films include Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, 1956, Elmer Gantry, 1960, Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962, and 7 Days in May, 1964. Marlowe plays a real person, the Reverend William Hyde, in the 1956 episode Dig or Die, Brother Hyde, of the religion anthology series Crossroads. Hyde was an itinerant prairie preacher who in the storyline employs psychology to restore a woman's faith in to save her child's life. His co-stars in the episode Alan Hale, Jr., Denver Pyle, and Ray Teal. In the unusually titled 1957 episode, John A. Kunker called Jim, set in 1883, Marlowe plays the Reverend Jacob Stuckey, who is dispatched to the mission at the Winnebago Reservation. The Indians, however, scorn the clergyman, who befriends a boy in an effort to prove his sincerity. Pat Hogan plays John A. Kunker, and Frank Dakova is cast as Black Hawk. Marlowe guest-starred in the 1961 episode Mayberry on Record of CBS's The Andy Griffith Show. In 1962, he played the part of Sam Garner in the episode The Pitchwagon on CBS's Rawhide. Marlowe made 6 guest appearances on CBS's Perry Mason, starring Raymond Burr. Among those roles, he was cast as District Attorney and Perry's client Branda Harris in The Case of the Fraudulent Photo, quote, 1959, and as murder victim CMDR. James Page in The Case of the Slandered Submarine, 1960. He also played murder victim Ernest Stone in The Case of the Nebulous Nephew, 1963, and murderer Guy Munford in The Case of the Hasty Honeymooner, 1965. Marlowe also appeared as Donald Burton, a newspaper reporter, on a 1965 episode of Hazel titled Hazel's Day in Court, and as pretentious TV documentarian Bainbridge Wells in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Marlowe was a regular on the NBC television daytime drama Another World, the last of 4 actors to portray the Matthews family patriarch, Jim Matthews, from 1969 until he died. Private life. Marlowe was married 3 times, each time to an actress. Between 1941 and 1946 he was married to Edith Atwater. Between 1946 and 1968 he was married to K.T. Stevens. They had 2 sons, Jeffrey and Christian. From 1968 to his death he was married to Rosemary Torrey. They had one son, Hugh Michael II. Marlowe died in 1982 from a heart attack at the age of 71. Partial filmography: Mrs. Parkington, 1944. Meet Me in St. Louis, 1944. Marriage is a Private Affair, 1944. Come to the Stable, 1949. 12 O'Clock High, 1949. Night in the City, 1950. All About Eve, 1950. Rawhide, 1951. Mr. Belvedere Rings the Bell, 1951. The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nellie, 1952. Monkey Business, 1952. Way of a Gaucho, 1952. Casanova's Big Night, 1954. Garden of Evil, 1954. Illegal, 1955. Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, 1956. World Without End, 1957. Elmer Gantry, 1960. Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962. 13 Frightened Girls, 1963. 7 Days in May, 1964. Castle of Evil, 1966. How to Steal the World, 1968. The Last Shot You Hear, 1969. Radio appearances: Lux Radio Theatre, 1952. Episode: Come to the Stable. Hugh Marlowe at the Internet Movie Database. Hugh Marlowe at the Internet Broadway Database. Hugh Marlowe at Find a Grave.